Hey, so in this video, we're going to be working on pulling the information from MyFitnessPal. So we're going to be grabbing the totals, the daily goal, and the remaining. So to do that, we are going to need two different libraries. We're going to use the Axios library, and we're also going to use the Cheerio library. So Axios is going to be used to grab the website information, and then Cheerio is going to be used to sort through all that HTML data and grab the information that we want. So let's install those two libraries. So make sure we are CD'd into our project directory. So cd fitness application. We're going to npm install Cheerio, do a space, and then write Axios and hit enter. So that's going to start installing the two libraries that we require. Right-click the source folder, select new folder and type API. Inside this folder, we're going to create a new JavaScript file called MyFitnessPal extractor.js. Inside this file, we're going to import, we need to import React. So import React from React. We then need to import Axios from Axios. We need to import Cheerio from Cheerio. We're now going to export a function. So export const MyFitnessPal extractor is equal to an arrow function. Inside this function, we need to create a value. We're going to call it const macros. And inside macros, we want to separate the data. So we want to have the daily goal. We want to have the daily remaining and the daily totals. We want these to all be mapped values. So daily goal is equal to a new map. Do a comma. Daily remaining is a new map, comma, and daily totals is also a new map as well. So the reason I'm using mapped values in this video is because we can set a value specific to a key name. So we could store the value 5 under the word of carbs. We can then search this map for the key carbs and it will return the value of 5. So that's going to be super helpful for the information that we're going to grab in this video. Let's create another value, const URL, because we need to know where we're going to get this information from. And it's just going to be equal to, so it is a string value, and we're just going to paste in the MyFitnessPal diary URL for, for this video, I'm using my specific diary, but you could also use yours as well. So we'll copy this and we'll paste that in the URL section there. Now let's start actually getting that information. So we're going to go Axios, which is the library just imported, .get. We're going to paste in the URL value that we've just stored. We're then gonna then, as it's an asynchronous function, so we need to tell it what to do once we've received this information. So then, we need to grab a response back. So once we get the URL and that action has been completed, then we're telling Axios we want to receive that value back. So let's call it response. And then what do we want to do once we have the response back? So this is where we're going to be using Cheerio. So we're going to create a new value called const. It's a new const value. We're going to call it the $, is equal to Cheerio.load. And we want to load in, so the response, but we want the data from that response. And then let's just console.log the value that we've just created. Now, if something does go wrong, we need to tell React to do something. So let's .catch. Yep. We need to grab a value from the catch. So we're going to catch the error. And then we're going to just log that error. Console.log error. So small recap, where we're using Axios to get the website information. We're then using cheerio. So we get a response back. We're then setting a new value. We're then grabbing cheerio and we're loading in the response, the data from the response that we've received from Axios. And we're then just going to log that data. If successful, we'll see something. If it's not successful, we will get an error. So just save that. Currently, this function is not being called anywhere. So let's just go to app.js. We're going to need to turn, so currently it's set to a function. We will need to change this to a class. So let's get rid of this and we'll write class app. It extends on the React library, so extends React.component. Yep. Being a class, like always, we do need to render. Yep. And let's just put this return inside this render. There we go. That looks good to me. So the reason we're doing this as a class is I want to call our MyFitnessPal function from the React JavaScript component didMount function. So let's type in component didMount. Essentially, this function is executed after the first render, only on the client side. So for this video, it's going to be useful for calling our function, as our function is going to integrate with what's going to pull the information from MyFitnessPal. So let's just call MyFitnessPal extractor, and that should be okay. Before we do run it, I've just realized we do need to import this function into our app.javascript file. So import MyFitnessPal extractor from, so where is it from? So we're in app.javascript on the left-hand side. We need to move into a folder called API and then grab the file. So it'd be /API/MyFitnessPal extractor. And that should be okay. So let's npm start. Let this load up. You attempted to import API which falls outside the source directory. Where have we put it? Okay. So my bad. If we have a look here, so import, we're importing the MyFitnessPal extractor from, I just forgot to put a dot in front of the first /. So let's just save that again. There we go. Awesome. So let's right click inspect. We'll go to console. Okay. So I thought this would happen. Just here, the access request to this URL from localhost has been blocked by cause policy with no access allow origin. Header is present on the requested resource. So what are cores? Usually JavaScript can't directly communicate with a remote server from a different domain. So you've got myfitnesspal.com, and then our domain is, well, localhost or whatever your website might be. An example of this is site B wants to request something from site A, and site A has cores enabled. The request will fail. One way of bypassing this on the front end is using a proxy server. We actually are going to set up the proxy server in the next couple of videos, so I will talk more about what cores are then and how the proxy servers work. In the meantime, if you want to learn more about cores, just go onto Google. What are cores headers? There's a bunch of forums and information about what they are and how you can work with them. But for now, just so we can actually see our response, go to the Chrome web store if you're using Brave or Google Chrome or just your web browser's app store. I'm just going to install this origins and cores changer, which I've already actually got. All this is doing is it's disabling cores in the web browser. You don't want to leave this on when you're just browsing the web and using things like Gmail or Facebook or whatever you use. It's actually not good for your security. But for testing purposes, for development purposes, yeah, it's definitely a good idea. So I've already got this one. I'll have the link in the description, so you can also enable on your web browser as well. If you'd rather not do this, then you can just go ahead to the next video once it is released, or the video after that. We'll talk about cores, and we'll be working on setting up a proxy server there as well. But for this video, just so we can continue with pulling the information from MyFitnessPal, I'm just going to enable it. So it's currently in my Chrome add-on. Now, if I was to refresh the web browser, awesome. So I'm now getting a response back. So we'll go back to console. So this here is the response. If we go back into the JavaScript file, so MyFitnessPal extractor, that's what we're logging right now. So we are basically loading the whole website data into the console. We don't want to do that. We do actually want to see some HTML data that we can sort through. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start using Cheerio to organize through that. Let's start with this algorithm. So we're going to need to create a new const value. So we're going to call it total. Just for now, just set it as a string. And we're going to go const daily goal. Yep. And then we'll also need another const, which is going to be called total remaining. Awesome. So with our total goal, we're going to use the function, use the value that we've just called up here that has all the data. So the $, and then inside this $, we're going to be searching for, so we're searching through the MyFitnessPal website for, we're searching the HTML code. So we want to find a table, do a full stop, and we want to find a table with the class name of table 0. So if we go to the MyFitnessPal website, right click, hit inspect, we'll scroll down, and if we have a look, so just here on the left hand side, you see the whole table is highlighted. So the information that we want must be in this table somewhere. You can see that the HTML tag is a table and the class is table 0. So we're going to be searching for that table. We then .find, we want to find inside this table, we want to find the T body tag. So we'll go back, open it up, just here. Now we want to navigate, because if we look at col group, there's nothing in here. And if we look at the foot, we don't want the footer or anything else. We just want to find out what's inside this T body tag. So we're going to drop it down, and then we'll go back to the code, and we're going to go .find again. So we've located the table 0, or the table with the class name of table 0, and inside the table 0, we're finding a tBody tag. But inside the tBody tag, we want to find the tr tag as well, dot total. So if we scroll back to the website and we scroll down, so inside the table, inside the tBody, we scroll down until we find the tr tag that has the class name of table. And inside here is all the information, is all the macro values for the total values on my own MyFitnessPal account. So that's what we want to grab. So we'll go back. Yep, that looks good. And then we can console.log total. So we're just going to show the total value plus total. Awesome. So let's do the same thing for the other ones. So with our daily goal, it's the same thing. We're grabbing the variable that we've named the $. We're also going to search through table.table0. Inside table 0, we want to find the tBody tag, just like before. And then inside here, instead, we want to find, so we're looking for the daily goal. If we go back, which one's the daily goal? Here we go. So ALT, that's what you want. So we'll scroll back. We want to dot find tr dot alt. Yep. And then we're going to console.log the same thing. We'll call it daily goal plus the daily goal value that we've just stored. Awesome. So we kind of get how that works. I'm just going to copy this. And instead of the alt class, we want to find the class that says remaining. And we'll save that. And we'll just log it as well to the console. Total remaining. Awesome. So let us just have a look. Okay, so let's refresh the page. Right click, inspect. Click on the console. Let's have a look. Yeah, cool. So we've got the class total. And then if we scroll down, we have the class total alt, which is the daily goal. And then we have the class total remaining, which is all our remaining data. One thing I just noticed is if we look at the class total, which is our totals, we have all of them. So we have the daily goal, the remaining, and the totals. I don't really want that. And I think what's happening is if we go back to MyFitnessPal, we have a look at the classes. So we've got total, alt, and remaining. You can see how the remaining, the daily goal, and totals all use the class total. So what's happening is when we'll go back to the code, when we're finding the tr tag with the class total, we're actually finding all of the tr tags within the tBody that has the class of total, which is actually all three. A way around this is we can go dot find. We want the total tag. So we want the total class, but we only want the first one. And it's as simple as just writing dot first. Because now if we were to save again and go back to our project and refresh the page. So we've got the remaining, which is great. We've still got the daily goal, which is great. And now, yeah, awesome. Now we just have the totals separated from the rest. So this will just make it a little bit easier to organize. What we don't want is there's quite a bit of empty space here, and there's quite a bit of data that we don't need. So let's go back to the code. We'll just get rid of the daily goal for now and the total remaining. And what we'll do is, so we're grabbing the first total class what we want to do now is we want to go .find. We want to search for each TD tag. So we'll go back to the MyFitnessPal website and open up the TR class. So each of these TD tags, we're going to go through each one of them. Yep. So .each. Now we need to create a function so we can go through them. There we go. Before we do start going through them, I'm just going to change this total into an array. So we've got const total, which is equal to an array, and we've already created this variable up here. So we're just using this variable, and when we're still going, it's still the exact same functionality as before, except this time inside. So going through each TD tag, in each of these tags, we're going to push the value onto the array. So total.push. Inside the brackets, we're going to paste the variable, so the $sign. And then this, so we're grabbing this value. We want the text, so .text. And we want to trim out some of the empty spaces. And we'll hit save. So now we go back to the website. Let's refresh the page. Yeah, awesome. That's already looking a lot better. What we'll do now is sometimes with MyFitnessPal, it doesn't look like it's doing it at the moment, but sometimes with MyFitnessPal, depending on what food you have, there'll be line breaks in the actual wording, and what JavaScript does, or so like what HTML does in the console with line breaks is it actually adds additional characters, and these characters will add up space in our array, and they'll just get a little bit annoying. So it's not happening at the moment from what I can see, but it can happen. So we want to make sure that we've implemented that into our functionality, just in case it does. So let's just Google remove line break, remove line break, yeah, there we go, from string in JavaScript. And just here, because we have the grepper extension, it looks like, here we go. So it's going to replace all these line breaks with whatever we want. So let's just copy that. We'll go back to the code, and just where it says .trim, we're just going to go, so what happened there? Yep, so replace. And just to make it look a little bit nicer, we'll just add it onto a new line. And we don't want to replace it with a space, we just want to replace it with nothing. So let's just save that. Go back to the website, refresh the page. Cool, so it might look a little bit weird now, but bear with me, we're almost getting there. And just from what we can see, we have totals, and then we have, so 1691, that looks like that's the calories. We have 49 for the carbs, 93 for the fat. So that's 49 for the carbs right there and 93 for the fat. So that 12 there looks like that's the macro percentage being pulled from the website. So we're just going to ignore that value for now. We then have 153, 260, and 10. So 153, 260, and 10. So that 12, 37, and 51, those spaced values just there look like they're macro values. So we're going to ignore them for now. And what we're going to do is go back to the code. And this is where we're actually going to start storing our data in the mapped arrays that we've got in the top. So let's go macros. So that's grabbing the macro const value just here. Dot. This was totals. So what do we call it? Daily totals. Yep. That's fine. Dot set. Now we're going to set the calories because that's the first one. Just do a bracket. And we're going to set it to, so we're going to set the value calories to the total. So before we just push some values into the total array, so we're going to go total square bracket. And if we actually go back and have a look at the console log, so totals in the array is the value 0, because arrays start at 0. 1691, that's going to be the value 1. So let's just paste that there. Awesome. We're then going to, I think that looks good. Yep. So then we're going to set another value again. So let's go dot set, and we're going to set, what was next? I think it was carbs. Yep. What else have we got? So let's copy this. So we're going to dot set carbs. We need to set fat. We need to set protein. We need to set, what else have we got? Sodium and sugar. Sodium and sugar. Okay, so let's copy the total array and let's figure out where carbs is. So if we go back, we realized carbs was the value 49 that we just pulled just then. So let's go back into the code. Okay, so totals was the value 0, the calories was the value 1, and fat will be the value 2. So let's just put a comma, totals value 2, sorry, carbs was the value 2. Fat looks like it's going to be 93, and that will be, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, by the looks of it. Yep. That's 4. Protein was next. Protein was going to be 153. So what's that? 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Sodium was the next one. So sodium looked like it was 260. So 6, 7, 8. And then of course we had one more, which was sugar, and that looks like it's going to be the last one, which is 9. Now, instead of console logging out the total, let's just get rid of that and let us console.log macros.daily totals. Save. Go back into the website, refresh the page. It's happening just here. Undefined. I think we might have done this wrong. What's happening here? Okay. So it looks like we don't want the carbs. So we've got the value carbs. Okay, so it looks like what it's doing is... Okay, so that makes a bit of sense. We'll go back to the code just for a second. Let's comment out the console log macro daily goals and comment this one back and hit save. Refresh the page. I think what's happening is totals is value 0 in the array. This is value 1, this is value 2, but that as a combination, it looks like it has the little comma just there. This here looks like a singular value. So what it is let's go back to macro.dailygoals.set. So calories is still 1, carbs is 2, fat is actually meant to be 3, protein should be 4, sodium should be 5, and sugar should be 6. Let's uncomment that out, and we want to log back to the console the daily totals. Hit save. Refresh the page. Open the map value. Okay, cool. So we're getting there. So you've got, see, the calories are definitely right. The carbs have the value 49, so that there is the macro value. But then we also have the macro percentage, which is 12, 51, and 37. Now you can keep them there if you like. I don't want them for what we're going to be doing. So to get rid of them, it's going to be a little bit weird, but let's see if we can give it a go. Let's go. So we want to get rid of the one that's, so carbs, fat, and protein, they all have macro percentage values that we don't want. So what we can do is, it's actually pretty simple. So we're grabbing the string value in the total array that we pushed into it earlier. We're going to go dot split, create a bracket, and we're going to split it by the space between them. And we're going to grab the first value out of the two. So what this is doing is we're splitting this 49 and 12 into an array from the space in between the two. So what's happening is we're essentially just creating a new string, and we're saying 49 is the value 0 and 12 is the value 1 in this new array that we're making. And then from there, we're just retrieving the value 0 because we want the value on the left-hand side, which is 49. And let's just save that. Open back the website, refresh the page, and there we go. Carbs is equal to 49. I do hope that makes sense. It's definitely a little bit weird, but if you've got any questions on how this works, yeah, just let me know and I'll answer you in the description. So let's do the same for fat. So we're going to split the fat value, and we're also going to split the protein value, and we'll hit save. We'll go back into the website, refresh the page. That is perfect. So we've got calories, carbs, fat, protein, sodium, and sugar. Awesome. So we literally just need to do the same thing now for the other values, which was the daily goal and the remaining. So I won't show that in this video. I'm going to code it out and I will definitely put it on the GitHub. But it works the exact same way. So we could just, again, copy this. So we would make a new array. We would call it daily goal. We would then still sort through our daily goal. We would then go through each of the TD, each of the TD values inside the HTML data, which was just in here. We would then get rid of all the spacing. We would also get rid of any line breaks that may occur. We would then determine where in this array the values are actually being stored. And then we would split that and push it into our new mapped values, which is just up here. Again, definitely a lot of information in this video. Would highly recommend reading through cheerio.js.org. Definitely read through Cheerio and how it works. Also read through Axios and how that works as well, as the way to get better with using libraries is to understand how they work. And yes, watching videos on YouTube is definitely great, but you're going to find that just reading the documentation will give you a really good understanding of how it works. So I will go ahead and code the other two, and it will be in the GitHub. I'll tie this up a little bit so it's a little bit easier to read. If you've got any questions, let me know in the description. But yeah, this video is getting a bit long, so this will just be part one. essentially we've just retrieved the information that we wanted. So the calories, carb, fat, protein, sodium, and sugar. We've assigned those into a mapped value, because now it's going to be as simple as calling. We could go macros dot daily totals dot find. I think it's dot find. I could be wrong. I would need to confirm that. But then we would just search by. It's probably not dot find. I better search that before I before I mention that. But yeah, we could search this mapped value for carbs, and it's going to return the carb value that we set, which was like 49 or whatever was in there. So in part 2, we'll actually be doing this. We'll be using this information. We'll be setting up another. We'll be pushing in our name into the function just here, just to make sure that this is not just a static value. And we'll be displaying this information on the website just here. So underneath agreed goal, daily goal, that's all going to be displayed here as well in part 2 of this video. So I'm going to end this one here, guys. If you've got any questions, just let me know in the comments and I will get back to you.